Welcome to the World Travel Multimedia YouTube channel. In this New Orleans, Louisiana tour guide video, we explore this leading travel destination with you to help you make the most of your travel experiences. We present you with an amazing virtual tour of all the eye-catching sights at this destination. In addition, we give you some essential travel-related information and leading recommendations you need. We hope you truly enjoy both this video and your travel adventure to this stunning location. Some of the key information we cover on New Orleans, Louisiana are location-specific details, history, culture, cuisine and fun facts. In addition, we share leading recommendations on suggested activities such as nightclubs, restaurants, local sites, transportation options, hotels and travel tips. We are excited to bring you this video and location information, so be sure to see the other related videos in this series for more travel tips, cuisine deep dives and interviews with locals for this destination. New Orleans is one of America's most unique cities, with a vibe you simply can't find anywhere else. Known the world over for jazz music, Cajun cuisine, and outrageous Mardi Gras celebrations, the city is a melting pot of cultures with a diversity that is reflected in everything from the music and food to the language and architecture. New Orleans is a great walking city, with many of the most popular things to see and do, located in or near the French Quarter. However, to explore the Garden District, you may want to hop on a historic streetcar. Buses are also a great way to get around, particularly for visiting attractions like the zoo that are further away. New Orleans has a strong economy, largely dependent on tourism due to its stunning location, history and cultural attractions that appeal to travelers worldwide. Another aspect of its economy is its major shipping ports born from its ideal location at the mouth of the great Mississippi-Missouri River system. New Orleans was named after Philippe II, Duke of Orleans, who was a French royal, soldier, and statesman who served as regent of the Kingdom of France from 1715 to 1723. Situated 100 miles upriver from the Gulf of Mexico, New Orleans is the largest city in the U.S. state of Louisiana. Straddling the lower reaches of the Mississippi River, this port city has long been at the crossroads of exploration, trade and commerce since the early 1700s. Essentially an island between the Mississippi River and Lake Pontchartrain, New Orleans is a city defined and shaped by waterways. Nicknamed the Crescent City because of its quarter-moon shape, where the early city was located. The modern metropolis has spread far beyond this original location. Because its saucer-shaped terrain lies as low as 5 to 10 feet below sea level and has an average rainfall of 57 inches, a levee, or embankment, system and proper drainage have always been of prime importance. Back in 2005, when Hurricane Katrina produced a storm surge that overwhelmed the levees, about 4/5 of the city was flooded and has yet to fully recover. Until the first major bridge was built linking the city to the mainland in 1958, New Orleans was isolated from the mainland and dominated by more canals than Venice, Italy. Locals got around by boat and by hopping on one of the historic streetcars that traveled more than 200 miles of lines, including the infamous streetcar named Desire that ran along Desire Street. Because of that isolation, the city was a hotbed of cultural innovation, distinctive developments including jazz, Creole cuisine, gospel music and a sassy stew of cultures that are uniquely its own. The history of New Orleans, Louisiana, traces the city's development from its founding by the French in 1718 through its period of Spanish control, then briefly back to French rule before being acquired by the United States in the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. Significant battles of the War of 1812 and the Civil War were fought over the city. In its last 100 years, the city has had its share of struggles with poverty, racial tensions, hurricanes and floods. The first known residents of the New Orleans area were the Native Americans of the woodland and Mississippian cultures. The expeditions of Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto, 1542, and French explorer Robert de La Salle, 1682, passed through the area, but there were few permanent white settlers before 1718, when the governor of French Louisiana, Jean-Baptiste Lemoyne, Sieur de Bienville, founded the city of Nouvelle Orleans on the first crescent of high ground above the Mississippi's mouth. New Orleans is one of the most diverse melting pots of traditions and cultures in the world, which is a big part of its worldwide attraction. It is heavily influenced by the French, Spanish, Congolese, Haitian, Native American, Creole, Latino, Sicilian, Anglo-Americans and a half-dozen more nations. It is truly a unique and amazing blend of cultures that is an experience not to be missed. Culturally, New Orleans boasts an eclectic hybrid of African American, French, and Spanish influences. Both the French and the Spanish ruled the city before the United States acquired it, along with the rest of Louisiana for $15 million. It is largely recognized that the Cajun and Creole groups in New Orleans have had the most notable influence on the local history, culture and arts. In the 18th century, Creoles were defined as French or Spanish descendants born in the colony. The forced settlement of slaves from Africa and the West Indies introduced those cultures to the Creole residents. The Cajuns of South Louisiana were originally French colonists who settled, some forcibly by the British, in rural areas, swamps and bayous, in the mid-late 1700s, and spoke their own dialect of French. Understanding the roots of these two groups adds color and dimension to the vibrancy of New Orleans, a city with a rhythm, style and attitude all its own. It's a city of festivals, of freewheeling fun, of go-cups poured in the bars where cocktails were invented. It's a place where pirates and ghosts have free reign, where cemeteries are above-ground cities of the dead and voodoo has its own royal queen. Here, carnival stretches for weeks, gumbo and crawfish recipes are family heirlooms, and neighborhood pride is touted in all corners of the Big Easy. New Orleans, one of the most culturally distinct, diverse and delicious cities in the United States. Here, you can explore places to dine outdoors, learn the difference between Cajun and Creole cuisine, and find some of the best seafood in the region. One of the simplest differences between the two major cuisine types is that Creole food typically uses tomatoes and tomato-based sauces, while traditional Cajun food does not. However, the distinction runs much deeper into the history of New Orleans. Creole food is cosmopolitan food, created in New Orleans with European, African, and Native American roots. The French influence is strongest, but vestiges of Italian, Spanish, German, and even Caribbean can be found in some dishes. The essence of Creole is found in rich sauces, local herbs, red ripe tomatoes, and the prominent use of seafood, caught in local waters. Cajun food is robust rustic food, found along the bayous of Louisiana, a combination of French and Southern cuisines. Think of meals with lots of smoked meats as well as meat-heavy, one-pot dishes, like jambalaya or the rice-filled, spicy pork sausage known as boudin. The backyard crawfish boil is also another byproduct of Cajun culture. Let's explore some of the most interesting local cuisine that you should try to experience during your visit. Gumbo is found on both Cajun and Creole tables in and around New Orleans. Originating from the African word for okra, gumbo began as a boiled or stewed okra dish with rice. Today gumbo most likely contains a roux, a flour and fat mixture found in many French dishes, and loaded with chicken and fowl, sausage, seafood, and seasoned with salt and spices. You can find many versions of gumbo throughout New Orleans. Po' boys was originally a charitable gesture to feed streetcar workers on strike. The po' boys has evolved into New Orleans' most famous sandwich. Served on crusty New Orleans-style French bread and dressed with lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise, these loaf sandwiches are commonly overflowing with fresh Gulf seafood, smoked pork, meatballs, and pretty much anything the chef can dream up. The broad span of po' boy fillings available has reached far beyond the traditional and reflects the multicultural flavor of the city. Po' boys can be quite large, which makes them a great food for sharing. Jambalaya is a rice and pork, or a rice and seafood dish, eaten by both Cajuns and Creoles in and around New Orleans. Rice and pork are cooked together in onion, celery, pepper, herbs, and spices. Cajun versions of jambalaya are made with roux, while Creole versions are made with tomato. Which group was the first to make the dish is unclear, but some compare jambalaya to Spanish paella, suggesting that at least some version of the dish developed during the Spanish period of New Orleans' history. Jambalaya typically includes chicken and pork or pork sausage, but it might include wild game such as rabbit or alligator, and fresh Gulf seafood. Red bean and rice is a traditional slow-cooked dish combining pork, kidney beans, rice, and spices, heavily influenced by the early African and Caribbean arrivals to the city. The dish typically takes the better part of the day to simmer and blend. Cooks will throw together rice, beans, ham or sausage into the pot with a traditional mix of Louisiana herbs and spices in the morning and be ready just in time for supper. Muffulettas are large, round sandwiches filled with Italian deli meats, cheeses, and homemade olive salad. Salvador Lupo is largely credited with selling New Orleans' first muffuletta when he combined the bread, meats, cheeses, and olives that Italian dockworkers would often request. Today, many restaurants serve muffulettas warm, rather than the deli-style sandwich. They typically come in a whole or half size. Louisiana owes its oyster industry to early Croatian arrivals to the city. Many Croatian immigrants became oystermen and are responsible for building today's commercial oyster industry. Today, oysters are one of Louisiana's major seafood exports. You can find oysters prepared in a number of delicious forms in New Orleans, from raw to fried to covered and baked to char-grilled. Chicory coffee has a long tradition in New Orleans as far back as 1862. The Port of New Orleans became a major distribution center for the Central and South American coffee trade. As a result, New Orleans has served as a source for not only importing coffee, but roasting and grinding as well. The people of New Orleans have long enjoyed French-style café au lait, and coffee shops have been a staple of the French Quarter since the 19th century. Bananas Foster was invented at the famous Brennan's restaurant in 1951. Hoping to offer an exciting dessert and help a fruit vending relative with an excess of bananas. The dish was named for Richard Foster, a frequent patron of the restaurant. Bananas are sauteed in sugar, rum, and liquor, and flambéed tableside. The warm banana topping is served over cold vanilla ice cream. Many restaurants offer a take on the famous Brennan's creation, offering Bananas Foster bread pudding and waffles topped with warm Bananas Foster. While dining on some of the recommend local dishes suggested above, optionally try some of these classic New Orleans cocktails to get the full local experience. A hurricane is a sweet rum drink promoted by early bar owners due to the cheaper cost of local rum. The name for the drink came from the glass it's served in that is shaped like a hurricane lamp. Sazerac is a local variation of a cognac or whiskey cocktail originally from New Orleans, named for the Sazerac de Forge brand of cognac brandy that served as its original main ingredient. Ramos Gin Fizz is a delicious frothy cocktail made from dry gin, lemon juice, lime juice, milk, powdered sugar and egg white. Café Brûlé Diabolique, or devilishly burned coffee, is made with coffee, brandy, cinnamon sticks, cloves, lemon peel and sugar. Most of the excitement or attraction for tourists is centered around the French Quarter, with the infamous Bourbon Street at the heart of the district. Beyond the French Quarter, the city has many quaint areas worth exploring, from the trendy warehouse district to the posh garden district, offering visitors a wide range of activities to choose from. Some of the more popular activity are exploring the famous jazz nightclubs, restaurants and historic city streets. The somewhat unique activities for this area are nighttime cemetery or bayou tours, riverboat cruises and live burlesque shows. The French Quarter is one of New Orleans' most historic neighborhoods and what most tourists come to see when they visit the city. Set along a bend on the Mississippi River, the main attraction here is the architecture, but it is also a great area for dining and entertainment. Along the river are steamboats and horse-drawn carriages waiting to take visitors on a tour. The old buildings, some of which date back 300 years, show French influences, with arcades, wrought iron balconies, red-tiled roofs, and picturesque courtyards. Many of these buildings now contain hotels, restaurants, souvenir shops, galleries, and a profusion of jazz spots with entertainment of varying quality. On the north side of Jackson Square is the St. Louis Cathedral, a landmark structure in New Orleans. It was built in 1794 on the site of two earlier churches and is known for being the United States' oldest cathedral in continuous use. Pope John Paul II visited the cathedral in 1987. The area in front of the cathedral, along the iron fence that surrounds the square, has long been an artist's hangout, and nearby are shops and restaurants, making it a popular spot for tourists. Also in the vicinity of the cathedral are the Presbytère and Cabildo, both Louisiana state museums. Mardi Gras is New Orleans' signature event, with celebrations that span a 2-week period. It always falls the day before Ash Wednesday, the first day of Lent. Celebrations include almost daily parades and all kinds of entertainment and festivities that increase in intensity as the event draws closer to the end. Onlookers crowd the balconies and sidewalks to watch the parades and catch strings of beaded necklaces tossed from the outrageously decorated floats. Southwest of the Garden District in uptown New Orleans is Audubon Park, established on the grounds of what had been the site of the world's industrial and cotton centennial exposition of 1884. This is a fair distance from the French Quarter, but provides a good excuse to see this part of the city. One of the highlights in the park is the Audubon Zoo. This is a fun escape from the busy city, with lush grounds and a good selection of domestic and exotic animals, including the rare white alligator. The National World War II Museum is an outstanding museum with engaging exhibits and documentary snippets that tell the history of World War II as it was fought in Europe and in the Pacific. Its mission is to tell the story of the American experience in the war that changed the world so that all generations will understand the price of freedom and be inspired by what they learn. Preservation Hall is an unassuming old building, originally an art gallery, that has long been an institution in New Orleans known for jazz music. The historic hall still features traditional jazz by local artists. The building is small, creating an intimate setting, and seating is limited. New Orleans City Park covers more than 1,300 acres and contains numerous attractions and things to do, including the New Orleans Botanical Garden and the New Orleans Museum of Art and Sculpture Garden. Also on site are tennis courts and an 18-hole golf course, as well as beautiful areas for walking. The park claims to have one of the world's largest stands of mature oak trees, with one that is almost 800 years old. More information on must-see locations in New Orleans and recommendations can be seen in the additional videos in this series. See the links in the comment section for related videos, or from the World Travel YouTube channel catalog. New Orleans has some interesting fun facts that can add to your travel experiences, and you can even share with fellow travelers you meet along the way. Locals will appreciate your interest and can provide some interesting local perspectives on some of these facts. These can also be great topics for conversation starters. One of the interesting historical facts about New Orleans is that the city was once the state capital of Louisiana. The current state capital of Baton Rouge gained the honor in 1849. However, before that, New Orleans was the capital. The tradition of celebrating Mardi Gras and hosting parades in New Orleans dates back to the 1800s. The first ever Mardi Gras parade was supposedly held in February 1857. Carnival traditions have centuries-old roots in French and Spanish Catholicism, as well as African and Native American traditions. Preservation Hall is the oldest New Orleans jazz club. The city is renowned for expanding the genre worldwide and has been home to numerous jazz legends, like Louis Armstrong. Bourbon Street isn't named after the alcohol. It actually gets its name from a royal family, the French House of Bourbon, from the early 1700s. St. Louis Cathedral in Jackson Square is the oldest active Roman Catholic church in the United States. The cathedral was constructed in 1727 and has been used as an active Catholic church ever since. One of the creepy facts about New Orleans is that this location also has lots of haunted buildings. One of the most notable is the LaLaurie Mansion. This home in the French Quarter was owned by Madame LaLaurie, a cruel slave master who reportedly tortured and even murdered her slaves. 19th-century pirate Jean Lafitte is a well-known historical figure in New Orleans who helped Andrew Jackson protect the city from British invasion in early 1814 and 1815. During the Civil War, when the United States was split into the Union and the Confederacy, New Orleans was the largest city among the Confederate states. The Matranga family is noted as being the first mafia family in the U.S., setting up their criminal organization in the late 19th century in New Orleans. New Orleans is known for its multiple iconic cemeteries and spooky history. Some of this is due to the fact that the cemeteries feature a large number of above-ground tombs, as opposed to traditional underground burial places. These rows of tombs almost look like little houses, leading the cemeteries to be called cities of the dead. Well, every travel destination has some specific things you probably should and shouldn't do. Here is a list of these suggestions we have compiled from prior travelers. Some things you should try to do while in New Orleans are: experience as much of the distinctive local cuisine as you can. Have some coffee at the historic Café du Monde. Gather enough courage to go on a ghost tour or visit a voodoo or vampire boutique. Enjoy the variety of live music on Frenchman Street. Find a good spot to gaze at the Mississippi River. Take in the architecture and art at the St. Louis Cathedral. Some things you should probably not do while in New Orleans are: don't eat too much spicy food if you're not used to it. Don't stay out too late on Bourbon Street. Don't spend your whole day in the heat. Don't drink cocktails made from cheap grain alcohol. Don't get your palm read by a random street vendor. To the spellbound visitor that gets it, New Orleans is like no other place in the world, a city formed by the superstitions, traditions, and history of Creoles, Spaniards, French, Irish, Italians, enslaved Africans, and free people of color. The particular experiences to be had here have always been driven by independent thinkers, creative spirits, and nonconformists. And that is never going to change. Facilities for recreation and relaxation in New Orleans are justly famous. New Orleans is often referred to as the city that care forgot, and it has always been a town for those seeking a good time. We hope you really enjoy your trip to New Orleans and are able to take in as much as possible of this amazing travel destination. Thanks for watching this video, and be sure to look out for more great content on this channel. In the future, we will be adding more travel destinations, tours, interviews with local residents, recommendations, and travel tips. Like this video if you enjoyed it to help support the creation of more of these kinds of videos. Subscribe to help out this channel and get notified when new videos are published. Donate and join the World Travel Patreon group to support the development of new content on this channel. Chat with other travelers, get real-time notifications on travel-related discounts and travel alerts. Check out the comment section below the video for special deals and discounts from partners and sponsors we trust.